Sometimes the hardest moments in life end up shaping who you are the most in profound ways. That's really the heart of what I've been exploring lately. How identity forms through resistance, especially when you're told no. In this autoethnography, I dive into this idea through the lens of intersectionality, drawing from my experiences as a trans person, musician, activist, and academic. What's been fascinating is noticing a pattern. Every time I faced oppression, whether it's someone questioning my choices, doubting my abilities, or trying to box me in, it sparked a vow, a promise to myself to keep going, to dig deeper, and to show up more fully as my non-conforming self. It's a cycle of challenge, reflection, and transformation. As a child, I thrived on rules, laws, and boundaries. I was the epitome of lawful good, serving as a 5th grade bus monitor and eventually the president of my high school student council. I learned early on that I could garner a sense of worth by making the adults around me happy. I didn't just want to be a teacher's pet, I wanted to be every adult's pet. Flash forward to my teen years. At 13, I was 6'3" and 250 pounds. While my peers listened to Guns N' Roses and Nirvana, I was immersed in the music my parents loved, Sousa marches and the Carpenters. I looked like a gruff adolescent, but inside I was a jolly green giant who loved arts, crafts, and singing soprano in my church choir. It was here that I first learned that my different voice could inspire others, as the adults at my church loved singing a large boy singing soprano with pride. My transition to high school brought the first time I was told I couldn't do something musical simply because I defied expectations.
I loved being in my first choir. But unfortunately, things started to get a little complicated when my choir director asked me to stay after rehearsal one day. Chris, love the voice. It's really quite beautiful. But if you want to stay in this group, I'm a little jealous, but if you want to stay in this group, I'm going to need you to sing baritone. We can't have a boy singing all the girl parts. But I don't know how to do that. Well, you're just going to have to figure it out. Otherwise, I don't have a good place for you in this group. So I went home and I forced myself to sing lower.
Months later, she invited my mother to a conference. She praised my talent and then pivoted to critique my identity. She argued that I was too feminine. I needed to act more manly, and that I should spend more time with the football captains that she had recruited into the show choir, rather than the girls. I sat there in her office and let the 2 women that I looked up to most brainstorm about how to make me the man that the choir required. This experience sparked my first musical vow. I'm going to make music that inspires, empowers, and makes people happy. Instead of focusing on that show choir, I started getting heavily involved with community theater, where I found portraying characters felt very different than trying to exude being a man while singing and dancing. Years later, as a doctoral candidate, I found myself in a similar office. I was killing it as a writer because I had 3 articles that were already in print as a grad student. And for fun, I was deeply involved in directing and performing, including a successful run of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I walked into my meeting with my mentor, expecting a routine discussion on writing. Instead, she told me that the faculty were worried I was performing way too much and not spending enough time on research. The air in the office thickened. I felt my heart was being pulled out of my body. I wondered why making music was considered a faux pas for a music educator. Instead of feeling defeated, I grabbed some empanadas and I made a second vow. I will never stop making music as an academic. I turned to performative autoethnography, a method that was not yet mainstream in music education, to help bridge this gap. I used my lived experiences as a queer music student and educator as core data, braiding together the body, paper, and the stage. Thanks, Tammy Spry.
All played out behind a smiling face. God, I need your guidance.
My trans awakening happened later through my involvement with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Sixter Parody here. I'm a fully professed member of the Indiana Crossroads Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence in the Order of the Shimmering Silo. Our mission as sisters is to spread joy and happiness to others while challenging the things that oppress and bring shame into people's lives. It all started in the 1970s when a small group of people started wearing nun habits into the Castro district of San Francisco to challenge the conformity of the gay scene. You know, homonormativity, where all the gays look, sound, and act alike. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, though, have grown into an order of benevolent nuns of all genders, sexualities, and spiritualities. When I joined the order, I identified as a man. I didn't really know the word cisgender, but that's probably what I thought I was. Most of the nuns in our order observed the tradition of wearing women's clothing and wearing white face paint. Face paint can help a sister hide their secular identity, give them a blank canvas for artistic expression, or even help them tap into a sister persona. Being a drag nun seemed like a novel opportunity, and I wanted to fit in so badly. So, on August 13th, 2017, I picked up my first dress, and the next day, I went to my first Pride event as postulant Sister Parody. I wore a purple dress, donned with some white face paint, and some really janky makeup caked on top. Throughout the next 2 years, I tried more of the same, wearing feminine clothing with white face paint. But something wasn't quite right. One day, I was at the clothing store and I found the most fabulous paisley blazer. I was about to manifest at the Trans Singing Voice Conference where I was the closing keynote speaker. I made the split decision to wear both masculine and feminine clothes. I found euphoria for the first time as Parody. I realized I didn't have to be just masculine or just feminine. A whole new world of gender possibilities was opened up to me, and that's where I started dreaming about who I was and who I wanted to be, both as Parody and as Chris. You might be wondering why my face is pink. Well, one day, 2 black men came up to me. I can hear their voices now. Hey, why are you wearing whiteface? What you trying to say? I couldn't put my finger on it, but I never felt right wearing white face paint because as a Filipino, Hispanic, part Asian, part white person, I often whitewashed myself. I claimed to be white most of my life while suppressing my brownness. I was trying to conform to a set of perceived rules that made me feel oppressed. So I sought a solution. I started using different colors of face paint. I began to love my crazy makeup rather than seeing it as something I can hide behind. My colorful face empowered me. It gave me confidence as a nun of color.
As a clitorally pink nun, I became Sister Parody, a genderfuck nun. However, even in this rebellious, defiant, benevolent organization, I faced a no. Other sisters questioned my color, my gender identity, and whether my academicness hindered my activism. They didn't see how I could be an activist while being deeply entrenched in academia. I stared at a mentor sister in a crowded cafe and felt that familiar oppressive air when she brought up how people kept asking questions about me being different and their critique about who I was. I didn't see how my intellect, genderfuck identity, or the color of my skin, painted or not, could hinder my activism. It fueled it. I vowed I will use my academic and creative abilities for activism to empower myself and others. I began writing parodies, using my academicness to play with music and activism simultaneously. And now I'm here with a new face. I just wanna find love and joy, not travel to outer space. It's not a stupid look, I don't care if you agree. It's just a way that I can be free, and I won't go or walk out that door. This is me and I ain't changing. I'll have you begging me for more. I just wanna spread some joy, I just wanna have some fun. Bet you didn't think there could be a genderfuck nun. I'm Parody. Well, hey, that's me. I sing your favorite songs a little bit wrong, but I won't sing off key. This music is my gift and these words I sing are true. So don't be blue, 'cause I love you for being you. I took my Through these epiphanies, I initially thought of my identity as a Venn diagram, constantly seeking a middle ground between conflicting circles. Academic versus performer, activist versus researcher. I felt pressure to perform one identity at a time because those around me couldn't allow me to bring all aspects of myself into one space. Drawing from intersectionality and cultural responsive teaching, I now opt for a model of holistic inclusion. In this model, my musical, academic, activist, and trans identities are not overlapping circles, they're fully contained within the whole of who I am. I can't turn off my brownness, my gender fuckery, or my intellect. My final vow is to embrace my whole self and to use my story to challenge the status quo that tells us we can only be one thing at a time, especially when other people tell us what that thing should be.